First, we're going to have Ariel Drummond. Ariel has a PhD in biomedical engineering. She currently works for the Food and Drug Administration, and she is the SIG director of the Public Policy Special Interest Group of NSBE. So she could probably tell you more about herself if she wants to, and here she goes.
So good afternoon. Today I kind of struggled with the topic because I have so many things going on in my head right now. So many things that I've touched upon even just this week. But I want to talk a little bit about passion, programs, and how it relates to policy. Since I do some work in the public policy area. So I want to talk about positively impacting the community, which is part of the NSBE's mission. So I'll just give you a little bit of background, or a little bit more background about myself, and then go into the passion of programs and policy. On my first slide, I forgot to mention, I consider myself a STEM navigator. And the definition of a navigator is a person who directs others through the route or course along a path to some destination. So especially by using your instruments, guides, and experience. So I find or feel like I help others navigate through STEM and STEM education, as I had others help me guide my way or direct my way through school, the PhD process. Dr. Tull was here. I remember her like 10 years ago when I was considering going for my PhD, and her talking to me about, benefits and, just keep on, I know you don't see many faces like you, and, but just keep on going. So I appreciate that, and look at me now. I made it. So my background, again, is biomedical engineering. My research has focused on developing medical devices, specifically in the cardiovascular area. So this is a picture of a baby that gets a ventricular assist device. So usually their hearts don't work very well. And they get a device that looks like this. It's pretty invasive, and this baby is like a couple months old. So it's going through surgery, and it's just very invasive, and it's a very hard thing to deal with. So I spent about 10 years working on this problem of saving babies. So through that, and then as a mission, I want to save the babies. I want to save the kids. I want them to pursue careers in STEM, technical careers. So with that, I lecture at Johns Hopkins. As Barbara mentioned, I am the Public Policy Special Interest Group's director. I am an author and a mentor. So my passion within biomedical engineering, I taught an artificial organs and prosthetic device course last spring at Stevens Institute of Technology in New Jersey. And even though I'm delivering the technical content, there's still an outreach part of me in me, and I have my students as a final project develop an outreach activity for middle school students. So I gave them, they had to demonstrate that they understood the information that I taught throughout the semester and explain it on a lower level. So there was explaining information that they learned during the semester to middle school students using the principles of artificial organs and prosthetic devices. And then I kind of restricted them to using common tools and materials that they can get from the grocery store or the hardware store. They can't really order it from their master or, go to Best Buy and get some, they just had to use basic tools. So my niece and nephew, they were the guinea pigs. They were in middle school. So I had them come to the class, and my students delivered this outreach activity to them. And they really enjoyed it. This is actually a prosthetic arm that the students developed out of cardboard, string, straws, beads. So they were really, really creative during the process. And so they put together PowerPoint presentations and materials like a toolkit that could be used in the community for different types of outreach activities. So that was one area that stemmed from my passion of STEM education. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with Dr. Whitney Gaskins. She is a NSBE leader. She was the Convention Planning Committee chair when we were in Indianapolis, I believe. She has developed a foundation. So I got really excited when I was just searching the web a couple of months ago when I was like, wow, our NSBE members are doing things like, she developed a foundation called the Gaskin Foundation, and then she provides STEM programming to under-recognized and underrepresented youth in Cincinnati, Ohio. So she has various programs from K through 12th grade, and she meets with the students on a regular basis. And I found that was pretty exciting, and she's definitely fulfilling the NSBE mission through her passion of STEM education. And as you know, we have a variety of NSBE programs, like the SEEK Summer Engineering Experience for Kids, which is always, I know there's one in DC this year. Some things on the horizon is trying to advocate and influence students to participate in summer bridge programs on college universities. Retention programs, as well as scholarships, and much more, but those are just a few highlights to some of the programs. In terms of other programs outside of NSBE, I've been working on a project with a few NSBE members, 6 authors. We got together and we decided to write a book about our educational experience trying to get through the engineering process in undergrad. We didn't even talk about our graduate experience because that's a whole nother book. But we talked about our undergraduate experience and our high school experience leading up to undergrad. Like how do you get into engineering programs? What kind of sparked that technical or that STEM interest? So we got together, we're from all different areas of the country, and we were able to write a book in like 6 months. And we were able to publish that book around the March timeframe, but we discussed our roadblocks and our accomplishments and try to encourage students to pursue STEM degrees despite the roadblocks that you may encounter while you're in school. And also talk about some of the resources that are available for minority students. I know Dr. Tull spoke about a few resources, and those are definitely beneficial. I know some of the authors participated in some of the programs that you spoke about. And then also study abroad programs that students, underrepresented students don't usually take advantage of. And it's also hard in engineering. I think it's getting a little bit easier to actually go abroad while you're in school as an engineering major, but 10, 15 years ago it was very, very challenging. So I wanted just to briefly mention policy. Policy plays into, you have to have that passion. There's programs out there that are being implemented, but sometimes these programs, they don't work. Sometimes the funding gets cut. You think there's a need out there, but there isn't any programs or anything addressing that need, and that's where policy comes into play. So the public policy special interest group, we mostly study public policy issues affecting blacks. in academia, industry, and government. We primarily focus on STEM education. We discuss these effects of policy on our professional, personal, and our community, public communities. And we try to educate and advise on these policies that adversely affect us, Black engineers. So this week, actually, Barbara Wilbur and I actually went out to San Antonio and participated in a panel, standards setting panel meeting. And going out there, I was like, I don't really know what this is. I guess I'll figure it out when I get there. But essentially, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, or NAEP, they're the ones that put out the national report card that you can go to the website and you can really see how our students are doing in school, in math, reading, science. So they put out the national report card. They've developed technology and engineering literacy assessment, which essentially tells us as Americans how our students are doing in the field of technology and engineering literacy. So this panel consisted of educators and the general public, and they invited people from SHIP, NSBE, ASCE, and we were able to set cut scores, so basically decide or determine what students fit in basic, proficient, and advanced levels when they're taking this test. So it was a very, I don't want to say convoluted process, but it was draining, I have to say that. But the impact, or the potential impact of us setting these scores and being at the table is tremendous. Once this test is administered, which it has been actually, but it continues to be administered over the years, we'll be able to understand how our students are doing in the area of technology and engineering literacy. So this is actually administered to 8th graders, and just for us to pretty much assess where they are in terms of solving problems and understanding technology and their impact on society. So just in conclusion, in order to positively impact the community, I feel as though you have to possess a passion for that, support programs, and then also understand or take it to another level and understand these policies that are in place and understand where there are some downfalls or places or areas of improvement and how we can actually contribute to policy efforts on the federal level as well as even the local level.
In your role in public policy, have you reached out to the administration or other groups, think tanks, presented any white papers to talk about the issue of trying to get more students interested in STEM?
So, no white papers. That is something that we are really looking to do this year. But we have been, NSBE, maybe not so much the special interest group, but NSBE has had communications with the Office of Science and Technology Policy, the Department of Education, NSF. Like we're starting to make those connections with the key players in Washington, but I don't know if the compensation has, I mean, they're aware of the problem, but there hasn't been anything significant that has been done yet.
I'm very excited about the TEL test that you put together. That's really cool. I was wondering if there's any interest in having that test administered perhaps earlier, or another version of the test that could be, in place earlier to help guide you further. Because you know what happens when you get to high school.
Yeah.
If you're not ready for that sequence of math, you're going to have a hard time getting into the college. and getting the AP and all that stuff. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to identify earlier in eighth grade, or is that something that's on the roadmap?
So I think for TEL, they, I think the goal eventually, I don't know if they're there yet. They're pretty early in the process, which that was one of the things that we found out. But they're looking to administer that test with fourth graders. But that hasn't rolled out yet. So they're concentrating or focusing on eighth graders as of this point. But there is can't really speak to the test because we signed a confidentiality agreement. But math isn't really, you have to have, yeah, but it's more, yes. Thank you.
I know, for example, in Germany, they usually have a more rigorous curriculum development, especially for those who want to major in the technical fields, because most of the time, by the time they graduate from high school, some of the equivalent to have like a 2-year college degree. So do you see any changes in terms of on the educational public policy completely revamping the education process to really focus on the cognitive development skills of the children at an early age?
I haven't seen that just yet. I don't know if there is going to be a push. There should be a push. I mean, just from my experience teaching, I haven't taught on like the like high school or elementary or middle school level, but I've taught community college as well, and my students just didn't have the reasoning, like problem-solving skills. Like they really lacked those skills, and so I found that we definitely have to have a focus or a push for that, but I haven't really seen anything in terms of policy that focuses on that as of yet.
Okay, so you work with NSBE's SIG group, so you all work directly with the national office. How does you all's work on the policy group compare with the student? And then how do y'all decide, or is that on the national office, or is the students who are deciding what policy to get involved with or how involved in? Last three part of this question is that, what about three? How do y'all work with the students and the national office? How do y'all decide which policy to get involved with? And was it 3 years ago that the White House, did they invite this group? Was this the group that they invited NSBE to be part of?
So there's a lot of stuff going on. There's so much stuff going on. This is like almost a full-time job for me. And I have a real job. And a part-time job. But so in terms of the public policy city, we do not really interact much with the collegiate students. This is primarily on the professional side. There have been talks to engage the collegiate students in the special interest groups, so I think there may be a push this year to get collegiate students involved, because that is something that the national chair has pretty much said. I would like the collegiate students to be a part of the special interest groups. I'm not really sure what that's going to look like just yet. We're still kind of in discussions on that. In terms of working with world headquarters, I talk to them a lot. I probably talk to world headquarters staff more than I talk to the professional executive board, because they're the ones that are going to these meetings at White House or OSTP, or going to Capitol Hill Days, or they're the ones that are getting these invitations. All the panels and like the things that we were sitting on, it kind of gets sent to world headquarters first, and then they kind of decide who's going to go out and do that or what have you. So we work with world headquarters more than we would with the collegiate students, or even sometimes the professional executive board, which we're going to probably change that up a little bit more this year.
This test sounds amazing, but it's further down the line, but have you thought about kind of which schools you might want to pilot it with, or which regions you want to pilot it with?
What the
TEL.
oh, so the TEL is a national test. So it's like the other, I don't know, I went to private school, so I didn't have to take all these standardized tests. So that was a whole other thing for me when I was there. But these are national tests, so the sample size is representative of our nation's school system. So not every school is going to take this technology and engineering literacy test. It's just going to be a little slice that represents the country.
So you've seen the assessment, right? Or you've completed the assessment, and you're in the process of writing a white paper to provide some candid, state of the state of the United States as it is today. My question is, what can I do about it? Right? What can I do? Do I need to write someone? Right? Do I need to?
Great question.
How can I
Great question. So you can join the public policy. But actually, we had a webinar in April. Veronica O'Davis, she's here in DC. She actually presented and she gave some really good, some key points on how anyone can get involved in public policy. So there's like a few, like 5 or 6 things that you can easily do. Like you can write your representative if you would like, well, you can email them. They don't like paper anymore. You can email them. You can go to community meetings. She said budget meetings are really good to go to, and you can really get involved because you'll probably get riled up at these budget meetings and want to get involved on a local level. And then there's other things, but we can definitely talk, and I can provide you with the recording of the webinar so that you can see it. It's not that long.